Hello. Um, the first point, we're missing some typefaces, which is a great start. Um, but we're going to start with chaos. But I'm a big fan of like creativity. That's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm obviously a designer. That's why these little things are in these like shitty little corners. Um, and like creativity is a really powerful thing. Spurs like sent this out yesterday, and they tried to solve their like player and managerial crisis with creativity itself. I'm from North London. I'm not here to dig out Spurs. However, like I fucking love chaos in all of its forms, and like Spurs are going through a massive moment of chaos. Um, and this is my favorite quote on creativity, and this sets up my talk. So I'll read this out. The brain is designed to be uncreative. With 11 items of clothing to put on, there'd be 39 million ways and a bit more of getting dressed. The brain is designed to make patterns and use them and stick to them. That is why we can get dressed, eat breakfast, cross the road, and do more or less useful work when we get to the office. Creativity and concept formation and all the wonderful aspects of the brain are nothing to do with these established patterns. They arise when the brain defects as an information system. Yes, that's a preface. This talk being a complete fucking mess. And then what I try and do with my talks as well, like to like split them into bits. Because if it gets boring, there's only a few left. So I do these big numbers. So this is the numbers of this talk. So there's chaos, which you've done already, which is 0. And there are actually 11 things, not 10. But anyway, right. So we've got uncommon, what a creative studio is: ideas, hard work, doing, breaking, seeing, hiding, boiling piss, big stuff, disrupting, and time. Okay, let's go. So uncommon, this is a little sizzle. So it's kind of like, it's sort of like the speed we work, so it's like hectic as fuck. Creative studio, and I think this is really important. I think we touched upon it earlier in the chats. Like we call ourselves creative studio, so like a combination between like a design studio and an ad agency. And it's that bit in the middle that I think gives us our superpower. And personally, I'm from like an editorial design background, so I belong kind of in neither of these places, either a design studio or an ad agency. So that's why I kind of really like love it here. Okay, ideas. So I'm gonna start here. So number 3, ideas. So ideas can be like really simple. This is like something my colleague did for a British Airways campaign, and this was a little doodle. So it says like plane needs to feel sun-kissed. Start with one person looking out, add another, add a baby. So what do we have? So there's one person looking out, and you add another, and you add a baby. And baby waves. And then like, I think one of the things we talk about quite a lot in the studio, I'll stay on the baby wave, and that's nice, isn't it? Is like we talk a lot about like feelings and how it makes you feel. And the way we like sold this in to the client was like that feeling when you first fly somewhere and you look out the window for the first time, see where you're about to land. And it's that feeling of excitement. So I love using the words like how you feel rather than what it looks like. If a client often says to me like, I don't like the look of this, I go, well, how does it make you feel? Because you tell me how you want to feel, I can do that, but you can't tell me what you think it should look like. This was even better when Ryanair started spoofing us. I thought this was fucking wicked. So when you landed on something, then someone spoofs you. And then EasyJet did another one, which is cool. They put a price on theirs, which is even better. And even Greg's did it, which is fucking just like you fucking made it when they're starting to do it. And then like last year we had a brief like to do it again but different. And then like this is a bit of creative inspiration, like for me personally and for the studio, like how do we do it again or do something different? And we start off with this idea of like how do we make the most annoying piece of work ever, and how do we fuck people off? And like how do we like annoy people on LinkedIn, and so on and so forth? And how do we make that same idea as simple as possible? So rather than looking out the window, looking out the window, we're now the other way around. So we look the other way. I think I've said that wrong. But we noticed there was like a reflection of the British Airways logo in the window. And then we spent quite a long time going on different planes at, like, that weren't flying at Heathrow, and figuring out what plane seat was best for what plane to get the best reflection, trying to figure out what time of day was best. And we commissioned 4 like British photographers to fly to 8 locations to get these pictures, which we carefully mapped and spent about a year selling into the client. So it's like properly hectic, but you get these like really beautiful kind of like iconic things. They go with that same idea of what it feels like to fly somewhere. This is over Iceland. This is over this is flying to like South Africa. So over somewhere I can't remember. It should be in my notes that I have speaker notes. Here's a little film.
This is a tune for humming. Or maybe for whistling.
Or maybe for whistling.
If you're weary of the words, the foolish little words you find in every song, look what I brought along. Simply a tune for humming. Or maybe for whistling.
Just full disclosure there, we caught most of those things, which was actually really beautiful about that product as well. We do a lot of like photo shoots. There's lots of people, there's clients there. But this one, we found it best is to send like photographers on the plane on their own. We basically put them on the best seat and they just caught like a few hours of like pictures. And then where the light changed, we caught the reflection. And some of them we had to boost it in like CG as well. But we're really like adamant of like, when we're talking about feeling, we want to capture that in photography as opposed to it being like either doing it in retouch or like comping pictures together. We want that feeling and that authenticity about it. And that's, again, a feeling we try and chase. And then going on to like doing, I touched on a bit earlier, like this is a thing I tell everyone, like ideas are easy, but making them is really fucking hard. And like ideas, like for all of us in this room, are exciting. Everybody knows that thing when they've got an idea, they get that buzz of energy. But then actually when you put it into practice, it becomes really hard to make them and like, you know, actually finish them and do them. So it's just a point in here I say to everyone all the time, like, you know, you can have a million ideas, but just make one. And we have a thing in the studio where we're all about making and getting stuff out the door. Because, you know, ideas like die in a deck. No one sees them. So it's just about having that tenacity to get them through. Number 5, breaking. So we touched a little bit on AI. I love this quote. And the rise of AI, our visual senses are craving imperfection, the handmade, the tactile, the irregular. Luxury is no longer about excess. It's about human touch, time, and presence. In a world where anything can be generated in seconds, what's truly rare is the mark of the maker, the slight asymmetry, and the evidence of process. When I first started on Common, I brought this product in with me. This is like a magazine called like Port. And this is like some of our experimentation when we're like trying to redesign it, like trying different mastheads in different places. But a lot of it felt like familiar. But one of the things like we like stumbled upon, we felt was fun and interesting, was like, why didn't we actually like get rid of the conventional like logo of a magazine and masthead? And why don't we try and get everyone to, all the cover stars to write their cover line of Port? The way Port exists is independent magazine. They basically get 5 cover stars and they're all sponsored. So there's like 5 covers per issue. There's 2 a year. And this is what we came out with. So what I love about it is like when you try these like kind of unconventional ideas, not having like a logo for a magazine, so like I'm branding something basically. You get their personality. He's a comedian. I think you can get that in the drawing of like his port, so it feels fun and playful. Like this is Franz, an actor, and I love like he talked about like how he wrote his, and in his interview, he talked about like in his life he likes to curl over. He's like on stage, he's got lots of confidence, but in his like personal life, he likes to like curl up into a ball and disappear. He has moments of depression. So I love this O, it's like disappearing on itself, and the T is non-existent. So like I feel like expressions of himself in his words. This was an artist who did it with like a paintbrush. Love like the energy in here, and again like another tortured soul. Sometimes it's really hard. My 5-year-old son wrote this because this guy had a fucking horrible handwriting. So my son wrote this. He loves that. And then we just try to find other ways of like using that like kind of handwriting and trying to like, again, like try and break the mold of the conventional magazine masthead. So this was like caught on a photo shoot in like 10 minutes. We tried to do it on the front of the hand, but his hand was like massive, like it's like cankles, but for hands. So we did it on the underside of his hand. And then like this one, he wrote on a bit of chalk on the floor, on the side of like a coffee mug. And this one is like one of my faves. We just shot it on a Polaroid. We approached a photographer who's like a really famous Polaroids. I forget her name. Should be in my speaker notes. I don't have any. And she shot this, and he got the cover star to sign all the Polaroids at the end. So we just scanned this, put it on the cover, and put a little spot UV on it. A couple of pages from inside. It's a magazine full of like pictures, but I always love the type more on the pictures. This is the contents page. This is a typeface like we designed like for the big contents, like double spread contents page. We call it like Uncle. So the first part is for uncommon, but we felt like it like looked like an uncle, this typeface, and not like the uncle, an actual uncle. It's like your dad or your mum's like weird mate who's an uncle that gets invited to the barbecues. So that, and basically each issue we draw like another letter. So in like 10 years time, we'll have the full set of numbers, which would be really useful. And then this like being expresses with like typography, like where we can, this is like typography as a fucking lettuce. And then how you take that little system into like some other openers. I love these ones with no pictures on. Seeing. This is what I learned because I've worked a lot in like photo journalism, like at the Times, the New York Times. I learned this from a really like smart photo editor. You can only see something first once. And the first time you see something is the most important time you see it. And like that thing like can be funny. But then I'm going to go like slightly serious here. But then like we have these things that happen. And like, I remember the first time we started seeing these things coming out of Gaza and how we felt about them. But as we see like more and more of these things, we get familiar and we get desensitized at what these things look and feel like. And you know, when it starts like happening in places like Lebanon, it just looks the same. And like this was like I was just researching this like last night, and I went to Getty Images for find a couple, and it's like there's 29,836 pictures you can buy of like the bombing happening in Gaza. So we've seen a lot of these, and we get desensitized to the feeling when we first saw them. You know, and also this point, I put this one in as well. Like, you know, there's 29,000 of these, and we know like Israel have actually been targeting journalists, so there should be quite a lot more of these. So this is like serious stuff that's been happening, and like I feel like as we see more and more of them, we feel less. And this is Iran. So like I think it's a really good point, and like this is a really serious like note there. But the second time you see something, you won't have the same feeling. And I think that's true for things that are really important as humans. We must remember this, but then like as creatives, it's the same thing as well. Now I've made these really in-depth charts like last night, have zero importance really compared with shown. But like this is my like complex like information graphic I made yesterday. So there's like this moment in the project where like the client loves it and you're right up here. And then like there's a moment like towards the end where the client like fucking hates you and hates the work. And like we all know it, we all had it. And there's always a point when, as like a creative leader, you have to remind them, like, actually, although we're in the hate stage and you fucking hate me and I hate you and you're bollocks, like there was a moment like where we all liked it. And it's that that point, I made that serious point earlier, but I feel like it's a really important thing in creativity. The first time you see something, that feeling, you got to bottle that and remember that and put that on the top of your mind. I've done a more advanced chart now. This is actually all in Keynote, no actual physical design here. And this is our journey as like creative people, where like we get super excited and there's a lull somewhere in the upper, and we like at the end, we all know it, all the work we make, we fucking hate it at the end. More, the client hates you and you hate the work even more. That is kind of like the way it goes. But then I think after a while, when you see it again fresh, it's good. But we all need to remember like the first time we see anything or feel anything in like more important things or in our work, we need to remember that feeling. Okay, hiding. Number 7, halfway through, or over halfway through. So this is the thing we say quite a lot in our studio. We feel like we do our best work when a client comes to us in the midst of unprecedented change. And there was a moment in 2022, and there's no bigger corporate and sporting shift than this one. So FIFA and all their like dodgy dirt they were doing, and still doing now. So the game asked, well, I'll play this actually.
FIFA is best known as the name of football's governing body, but for the past 30 years, it's also been known as the name of the most popular football video game ever. Now, after a dispute with the makers, Electronic Arts, the game is being renamed in one of the biggest rebranding exercises in entertainment history.
That's like BBC News at 6 o'clock, so just that makes me feel really fucking important. That's what's in there. Made the news. Anyway, so like the thing we also look for quite a lot in our studio as well, things like hiding in plain sight. So this was a rebrand of like FIFA, the football game, like we obviously like maybe all played at some stage, to EA FC. And this is where the idea came from, the icon hiding in plain sight.
We've got a really exciting match in prospect now here today.
Fix me, all right?
And like with like those, like we often make these like design scissor reels when we're like either halfway through, and I'll show one later on, but it's like halfway through a project. And the idea of like feeling what we're trying to get from people and move them, because obviously we're into the work, but sometimes by like editing together like the design work you've made or the work you've made and put a track behind it and showing someone to like get them excited, it's all about feeling. This chart here, actually, this is like a strat chart. I don't fucking understand. I was going to take it out. There's something like really like important here about like football being democratic and up or autocratic and down, but I don't understand it. So like, it's there. There was lots of strategy in this project, but I just don't understand it. So we're going to move on. So the bit I do understand is like that icon that's been like on top of the players forever. We've made a new icon and logo out of it, out of the triangle. And love the idea, like you can create a game and the whole like ecosystem around something can just be a triangle with the shape. And then from that, we made a grid, which no one can use. It's really complex, but it's cool. It's out of triangles. And then we like cut some typefaces with F37 that had like the indents of triangles in them. Here's more of the typeface here. Just a bit more of the work. And then like, I just really like this slide, so I put it in. But this is like a bit of their color theory, which was like really simple, really. Like football kits are designed to be played, show up on green stuff, like the pitches they play on. So like that's how their color system is black, white, best colors in the world. And then green and the fluoro green that's really impossible to use in print, and nothing can print, it's a nightmare, but we put it in, which is good. And then like that thing we talked about before, like how we launch something, and I feel like that combination, like we don't feel the product's done until it gets launched into culture. I think that's a really big part of our practice. I'm gonna play this.
Triangles. From total football, tiki-taka, gegenpressing. This is football's DNA. Always been in the game. Now, it's in the name. The shape of football's future. On the pitch, in the culture, to the world. Triangles.
So that's the world's most expensive design sizzle reel. But I think that the level of ambition and the idea of launching into culture. So we took over like lots of games, like I think it's like Dortmund, went to Liverpool and Tottenham, went to Madrid, and we like basically embedded our new icon into culture. And then we launched it obviously like with the kind of way you would do with like Beckham and like Zidane and then Benzema. We love this. We didn't like ask for this, but he managed to like carry his like our icon in his mouth, which is like totally epic. And we have that printed on our wall in our studio. Just a moment it hits design. And then other ways of launching it as well. Like this is like we took over a space in Amsterdam, the home of football. And we just took the triangle like fucking bullshit to another level. And we basically designed everything to a triangle, tickets to a triangle, like where you stand out to triangle. It was super cool. Haaland turned up in his pajamas. And like we had a few million people like watching it live. So it's a really big event. And then we just utilized the triangle in everything we did. So like from like out of home moments as well. So I just love the idea like something can, come from a shape. The whole brand can be based on one shape. The world's best in situ. Like we've got one of our designers to climb a fence and do this so we could shoot it really nicely. But like more like seriously, like just love it when you like go and watch like lower league football or and you see the badge like on someone, a water bottle or something you've never seen it before. But there are also like really important moments in culture you can be attached to. So this is Rebecca Welch, who was the first female Premier League referee, and she's wearing our icon. So it's just wicked when you make a piece of work and it just appears everywhere. Number 8, boiling piss. So again, we feel like we do our best piece of work when a client comes to us in the midst of unprecedented change. We say that quite a lot. And like for here, it was this change. So Jamie Carragher calling Chelsea the £1 billion bottle jobs. So Chelsea came to us with a bit of an issue. They had no identity because they felt that the identity was formed by their two most important managers, which are these two, which define the sentiment and the character of the club. So we like often do these things called truths, and this is going to go down like a ton of bricks in here. So a truth for Chelsea. So Chelsea are the most successful team, which is a fact, in the most popular league, the Premier League, in its most important city, London. Sorry about that. We do say things like this in London, so like this is a thing. But then like that's a truth we have in our mind for the client and what we're selling. But what we're really selling is this. Chelsea are horrible, and boiling the piss out of other London clubs and claiming London is proper Chelsea. So that like we say to them we're doing one thing, but we always have a truth in our mind what we're really chasing. It's this. This was like a slide from our early presentation deck, and most of the work like in this design work done by Brenda. He's the back there. He's a fucking wicked talented designer who also works in Manchester. So whilst like doing the whole like London thing, we love working with like talent from outside London, and we do this cool thing in our studio we don't have to be in. So we're like fully remote. Anyway, right. So this is how we like presented it the first like 3 rounds of work. So on the left-hand side, we've got like Chelsea's style. This is like a bit like fancy West London, bit posh. Then we had this energy thing here. And the energy thing, we had this like CFC LDM thing, which I thought was a bit vibey, a bit annoying. And this attitude thing on the right. And these are supposed to be all different sides of London. The CMO saw the one on the right and she said, I fucking hate this. It's so horrible. I feel like someone's like punching me in the face, this attitude thing. But what's good about that is like it then allows you to go, okay, I understand that's not good. And then there are some bits in the meeting that I liked out of these. And one of the things we like attached onto are these terms like called grit and glamour. And we felt like Chelsea being like a West London club, so where all the posh people live, and they don't really like football, kind of. Bit of that, plus like a bit of like grittiness of being like London's most successful team, like based on Premier League wins and all that bollocks. So like this is the journey we went on. So like we kind of love this like symmetry of CFC and LDN. And we went out to set a new icon for the club. And this was like a mock-up we did of like, you know, why don't we own this and be this? Makes me a little bit ick, like, because I feel like some ways like we're losing a bit of that football culture, but also it's like a land grab for London because no one else has done it yet. And this is like from the telly box like a few weeks ago, and they've like that flag we mocked up somewhere like on like, you know, hacked together somehow a mock-up is actually real, and they fly it at the ground. So they've taken this as part of their thing, and this is what we spoke about. They haven't done this, which is annoying, but they made this cap on the right. But what we said to them is like, the New York Yankee cap is so iconic and it's like a symbol of New York. Let's make Chelsea the symbol of London. And like those, you know, those shitty things at the airport where they sell like baseball caps in New York Yankees, they're always everywhere. Why don't we have a stand that sells these London hats? And like 90% of the people that buy these don't know they're Chelsea hats, but really you're making an icon for London. So it's that idea of a land grab. And these are fucking valuable, these hats. They make a ton of cash out of them. But also, again, like if we go back to our boiling piss thing, it's like a perfect, like antagonistic, proper Chelsea like type of thing. And then obviously, like with like rebranding projects, like we cut a new typeface and we talk about these often as our visual voice. Our visual voice came from like the curves of our rampant lion. And again, we had that thing where we tried to sell them the glamour of like West London, the grit of like, you know, proper like academy football. Here's a little sizzle how we did this. Again, this was like, we partnered with F37 on this project again to craft this typeface. That's kind of how it works in the system. You know, and a bit more of this is like from our brand book to show a bit more of the details like behind the scenes. And like we do all these things and like we mock them up and say, yeah, we should do this. You should claim this and do it. And like we do this and like maybe like 8 months later, we see these if you watch a game and they're actually live and they're real and they're like round the ground. And hopefully Chelsea are losing whilst they're on, but like, and a bit more, that's a bit low res there, but like, again, like with our type, we're like glamour, seductive, polished with the low res. Love that. It's all fucking low res. Okay, fine, we'll go with that. It's a color system. This is like after like, hope you had enough beers. This is like fully in focus. Fuck. All right, okay. Oh, it's gone black. That's not good. No, don't worry. It's all right. We're back. Yay! Right. This is like actually something that Chelsea didn't buy, which is like some iconic type-led social media posts. Bit more of this, bit more of this, bit more of this. Right, I think we were here when the pictures died. So big stuff. I read this bit, I think I read that bit. Like 80% of people want change, only 36% of people can actually do it. Even when it's scary, you can do it. This is, for people that don't know, a saw that looks like a shark. And then we got like sort of like more clever with the copy. Your dad could do it, your sister could do it, the handyman could do it, but they aren't going to do it. You can do it. And the way we like photograph these like, and the way we like talked about how we'd photograph these, we photograph these of like tools that empower you and give you the power. So we shot them like gods. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next year, maybe never, maybe now, you can do it. And this is like the level of craft. We're like, this is like how we set up in the studio with proper bits. It was the biggest drill bit we could find, but then we like painted like all the like shavings on as well. So it's like the level of detail on the craft. Smashes through walls, floors, and indecisions. I love like little things like this typographically, where you don't use like punctuation, but you use space. So like you have a pause after floors, and floors shouldn't probably be there. You know, you would set that differently if you're doing the line endings properly. But I love how you can use typography to create space in how you speak. And then like the real glamour comes when you're photographing a bath and sink plunger worth $6.99, and you photograph it for like an hour and a half, and you like talk about how the light casts on the black bit perfectly and how wonderful that sort of stuff. And here's like the final out at home, and you lost all that beautiful color in the final thing somehow. But again, like super fun, like hero, you can do it. Second part of this at the same time, that was like a big advertising project. So like, you know, that photo shoot probably cost like 40 grand, and this one was for a magazine. It cost like 400 quid. But it's the same thing. This was like for Port, and it's a food magazine. I was like, I just want to photograph some oranges. Can you write a story about an orange? So here's that story about an orange. I can't remember what it was. I didn't actually properly read it. About a gherkin, same thing there. And just like using the photography to frame everything. I did read this story, and I found it really interesting. This was about restaurants having nice food because they put loads of butter in everything. So this is like an opening spread, so you can, again, like, you can't really barely read it. Oh, fuck, I didn't get in. Fuck. Oh, God, that was totally unintentional. I can write that down. Speaker notes. This was about film, massive bit of popcorn, that sort of stuff. Disruption, though, two more. This is like a rebound project, which we're still doing, so I probably shouldn't show you this, but I'm going to. We do these things quite a lot from like the bit snazzy, but this is category truth. This is about a sports brand. So sports brands love to worship heroes, but heroes are overrated. The most important characters aren't the chosen ones, they're the ones who are overlooked, the underestimated, the misunderstood. These players are a problem. They pose questions, get in the way, get in your head. Heroes are predictable, problems change the game. So this is a project we're doing for like Under Armour, and they've always been like the underdogs. And then when we started talking to them about their design, we basically showed them this chart. Like obviously, that's half Under Armour and half Nike. All of it looks like well similar, and it all looks like totally like manosphere. So we said to them like this is exactly how we sold like the design system in like each slide. So this is their line. So like, oh, it's fucking Siri, right? Okay, right.
To do that, you'll need to be online.
This gets better. To be right, okay, right. So we said to them, rather than doing everything in these like big bold capitals, why don't you just like chill out a bit and just have it like in like, you know, slightly lighter weight. But actually, why don't you, even better, like, can we just like do like, you know, sentence case and be like normal humans? And actually, let's add some tension to it. So let's squeeze the typography. But really, if you've been a problem, you shouldn't have any capital letters, and also you shouldn't really make any sentences. And then like the next part of this was their grid, and they had this thing in their brand book like, we use a 12-column grid everywhere. Unless it doesn't work, you make another one. And it's like, fuck, that means nothing. Then we pitched them this, and we actually made this in AI just to show it could work. This is a bad screen recording of it, sorry. And we've done this like really, this is actually working now. It's proper fancy and looks really nice, but this is what it was. And the idea is here is like make a problem grid generator. So every time you press this button, it gives you a new 12-column grid that's completely fucking nuts. And then what we've done with that, we've like done it so you can change the number of columns and make it simpler and add energy in certain areas. It's really like quite smart, but this is like a really low-rent version. This is me last night trying to like find and film like a bit more of it. So this is accidentally filming like a Google like deck, you know, how this works. But this shows you how that like typography, like although it has lots of system, it actually, can you see that? There's little lines on there. You can't see it, I don't think there, but there's actually grid lines on there. So although it looks like completely like organic and problematic, it like follows like a strict and tight grid. And this is like a page from the brand book, and we're talking about these like compositions that like feel unexpected. This is like again like a page we like showed to like sell like the design in. And this is again a little sizzle reel for that feeling we made halfway through the project.
Boom boom tap, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, tick tick bang, tick tick bang, tick tick bang, ba bang bang, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, tick tick bang, tick tick bang, tick tick bang, ba bang bang, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, boom boom tap, tick tick bang, tick tick bang, tick tick bang. Fuck you.
And then like this is I think it's the last slide in here, like how when you try and use like some of those rules to like create something that's new. And I love this slide. It seems to sum up the whole project. And we look at like the industry leaders in this space, like Adidas, they've just gone through a rebrand, which I think is really beautiful. They like define themselves as the creative, and they have this thing, you are expressing and belong. And their art direction's like totally stunning, like type's really elegant. They use like the triptychs, they use free photographs quite a lot in all their work, which is the three stripes. And then Nike on the other side, again, really beautiful work. It's the legend you're transcending and lead. They use all this like caps, and they're all about hero worshipping. So in the middle, like we use this to test ours, and we see ourselves as the rebel. You're disrupting and transform as being an underdog. So like we start to create ourselves like a very like unique brand well compared to our rivals in here. And here's the last thing. I'm going to leave you on number 11 of my 10-point talk. And this is from our founder, like Niels, from his Instagram, from a talk he does. But like, I love this thing here. Like, no one stole your idea. You just took too fucking long. And again, it's just that idea, like, just get on and make it and do that thing. We have another thing where like we have loads of like little sayings like this, like later means never. So if someone goes, yeah, I like that, maybe we can do it like next time. The idea's already dead. So like, it's like all about now, and just getting the fuck on with it, basically. That's it.